We might. The Land Recycling Program from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And here representing that program are James Seif. And I better make sure oh boy, you may have to help me with this. Mulligatu?
That's correct.
Terrific. That's just the first name. Biru. Right, terrific.
Good afternoon. Did Henry Ford, as every schoolboy knows, invent the automobile? Well, actually not. I think he did do three things, though, that would be more interesting to a group like this one. He saw that existing machines and sprockets and gears could be made into something much more than just another horseless carriage. He saw that the technology, organization, and economic wherewithal were available to make millions of his car, and he understood that marketing wasn't just an add-on, it was of the essence to what he was trying to do. And so Pennsylvania has created a similar configuration, an assemblage of good stuff that works into a great problem-solving machine. What was the problem? It was gridlock around the resuscitation of sites in our communities that had had industrial activity on them. Formerly productive property trapped behind cyclone fences in the middle of town. The legal issue was the Garden of Eden standard for cleanup that we had imposed on ourselves. It was the perpetual liability creating enormous bickering around any given proposal to clean up a site. It was a perceptual situation. Everyone knew that under all these sites were loads of methyl ethyl megadeth and pandemonium trichloride, and you didn't want to know what else. Well, it was also a problem inside our department. In the Rachel Carson State Office building, we had become great regulators, but not too flexible, and not understanding that the real problem wasn't to produce regulatory output, but cleanups. Our answer in Pennsylvania was a statute which set a cleanup standard based on science, a standard that we could actually reach based on the future use of the property. Created real release so that lenders and others who want to be in on the solution could join. Created standard procedures so that we can have many, many cleanups. And created a little bit of seed money so that the private sector, once it understood that the property had value, that the cleanup had a reachable price, that there was value, and it was worth investing in. The program works in Pennsylvania in 49 of our 67 counties, in towns and cities of all sizes. We're doing our part to clean up what the GAO says are about 450,000 tainted sites in the United States. We have numbers in the hundreds in terms of completed cleanups, hundreds in the queue, and many premier sites such as the Smithsonian proposal to put the National Institute of Industrial History at the Bethlehem Steel site. We have some multi-site agreements, including a very juicy one coming up, which I might leak during questions. We have the Great Lakes Council of Governors using our techniques to show what are the proper common elements of this kind of cleanup, and using some of our capacity with information systems to see to it that cleanup techniques and standards are spread around the basin, including to the North Shore, as we call it, our friends in Canada. And we were proud to have the American Legislative Exchange pick our program as the national standard. We have changed the inside of our department from being a traffic cop, from a ditherer wondering what to do, to a partner in reducing sprawl, in helping communities solve problems, and bringing jobs back to where they once flourished. We've changed the mood and tone of this program. One of four we are using as a flagship for changing the entire regulatory paradigm in our Commonwealth. When I grew up in Pittsburgh, we were just getting to what was called smoke control, which was really the leading edge of what we now know as sustainable development. 100 years before that, Charles Dickens had described my city as hell with the lid off. We've come a long way. Part of the leadership of Mayor Tom Murphy and his Director of Redevelopment, Mulligatu.
That was indeed Pittsburgh's glorious past. And those gigantic industries have since left Pittsburgh, and with them have also been gone 150,000 good-paying jobs. Think about the impact of that in our communities. It was very devastating and also heartbreaking. We're left with hundreds of abandoned sites and buildings throughout Pittsburgh in this region. Something had to be done to rebuild this trend. We acquired several sites in hopes of putting them back into productive use. In the past, however, Pennsylvania's environmental policies and regulations acted as a disincentive for the cleanup of brownfield sites. For responsibility for cleanup was imposed on any current owner or innocent buyer. Potential liability was unlimited. Review processes had no end to them. Hence, since up to 1994, we could not remedy most of the sites that we acquired. We were terribly frustrated. Then comes a new governor who campaigned on my side, talking about using brownfield sites, and he said that he used 3 initiatives. One was a reversal in attitudes on let's do business attitude, which was very important. Second one was a legislative secretary side mentioned, and the third, equally important, was the use of incentives. With this paradigm shift, it heralded, indeed, the rebirth of growth and momentum. Our former industrial sites are now almost, not the ones we acquired, are almost fully developed, bringing in about $900 million worth of private investment and creating about 4,000 jobs. On these sites and buildings, we are nurturing new technologies that define our future and our economy through things like bioengineering, robotics, and environmental technology. I have to say more, but thank you.
Next Chairman. Yes, sir. Next Chairman. So the next Chairman question here.
Do you have more to say?
Indeed, I do. To continue with our momentum, actually, we have acquired 500 acres throughout the city of Pittsburgh, and we have completed our remediation plans and also our master plans. We bring in about 1.5 billion worth of development into our sites that may create 12 to 15,000 jobs. I must tell you one thing. The land cycling program has created hope, optimism, and renewed energy in the Pittsburgh region. So much so, and this is very important, that people did not panic in desperation as they did before when this past August, the LTD Corporation announced the closing of stock plant on over 170 acres in Pittsburgh. Now, thanks to the program, this site can be viewed as an opportunity to rebuild and revitalize the Pittsburgh economy. Our first liabilities have actually become our real assets. Thank you.
Site, could you explain why the state of Pennsylvania has done such a marvelous job and the national government seems not to be able to fix its Superfund program?
I was told to stay away from Superfund if Tom County was on the panel, but I guess I'll accept the invitation. That may be the least successful federal environmental statute we now have. It really has got itself wrapped around it. So Jimmy Carter was wrong when he said in 1980, once and for all, this $1.6 billion will solve our problem. We had misdefined the problem. I do hope that Superfund will reform itself somehow, either in Congress or elsewhere, and stay out of our way. This is an area where the states have gone around the whole delegation issue and are the laboratories of democracy that we personally do. I do hope that that will change. These sites are simpler than Superfund sites. I guess that may be a fair explanation for EPA. We have technology, some of which EPA forced into existence. That is more helpful to us. And we have a general coming around of, let's get off the pristine garden Eden standard. Come on, folks. What's the future use of the property? It's not going to be a daycare center. It's going to be another steel mill. You know? And that has loosened things up.
Okay.
This program.
The environmental justice debate bring us onto the right side. That is, you have places that are dirty and have cyclone fences around, caught in a legal web that are now liberated for the choice of the community. It may not be that every community will want to put jobs on the site. In fact, maybe vacant land is just what the doctor ordered. We don't have enough in Pennsylvania. We've paved over too much of Penn's Woods. And there are people that get into debates about the future use of the property. But we're not counting the jobs or the ribbon cuttings that will occur between now and 13 months when the governor runs again. We're counting the number of choices we've given back to communities. And we are not participants in the debate about the future use of the property. That's up to our partners. We don't have any enemies yet.
We struggle through that question all the time, and quite honestly, we have not found a pitfall. Our competitors would say that we're getting some favorable governmental responses to our problems. I wouldn't believe so because we still have to spend a lot of our own money to make sure that we remediate the site and put them back into productive use. As we struggle to define those questions, I think we find increasingly that people are responding positively in our communities because we do deliberate these issues with all our residents, because on some sites we put housing and we want to make sure that people are buying into our program because these have been formed in industrial sites.
We have 2 remaining questions. The time is rather short. So, Antonio?
One question is, when you use the word pristine standards, so I'd like to know what you are doing to ensure that standards are not lowered and are protecting the public overall.
First, lots of community involvement in the setting of the rules and the establishment of the 3 standards that are available to be selected by a community. And then the patrolling through our department of how the standard is met. There is a site-specific standard which has to do with some heavily polluted industrial areas where there is restriction on reuse. There's a statewide health standard that is available as well, which is the most protective. But we did develop those with a great deal of public participation and input about what the risks were, and a great deal of discussion about what restrictions might then be applied for those cases where there was residual pollution left.
At that point, we recently acquired about 230 acres of former steel mill slag site. And we're converting that into about 700 housing units. And there have been questions in terms of the impact of environmental issues on air quality and so on. And we had about 25 community meetings to ensure that we're not sacrificing quality of life on those sites.
This is going to be a somewhat negative question, but I've got to ask it. You said you're not going to put daycare sites, you're just going to put steel mills where steel mills used to be, and the people who work in the steel mills, as far as I know, are like parents and probably prospective parents. It talks about 1,000 homes on an extensive steel mill slag dump, and my question is, on page 7 of your proposal, it talks about the regulations proposed a system that will essentially be tested during its implementation and refined at a later date. Now, does that mean you're going to kind of play around with the standards and later you'll see how they worked? That's what it says here to me. And if that's the case, then putting 1,000 homes on a slag mill site and refining the environmental or ecological receptors later seems a little strange to me.
No, we're not conducting experiments with people or steel workers or homeowners. Refinement later means the adoption of the regulations, which were in fact adopted last August on time, a record for the department. And it is, in fact, with the slag site and given the safety at a steel mill in terms of a slab, in terms of the lack of receptors, is every bit as safe, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
But not pristine.
Pristine, we can't afford. Pristine, when we sought under Superfund, wrapped us around the axle.
But the standards for housing are tougher than the standards for industrial development. So we do have to pass those strict standards to develop housing developments. Those people do the
Can I?
Please.
You're saying there's a different standard for if you're building housing on a cleanup site than if you're building a mill on it? Did I hear that correctly?
In the sense that when we go through the remediation process, we would be asked what are the end users. If the end use is housing, we'll set the protocol by which we remedy those sites for housing development purposes. All the standards are very, very tough standards, but some are extremely tougher than others. I can assure you that we, as a public agency, will not sacrifice the quality of life as we go, as I said before, through a very stringent public participation process.